Hello. Welcome to episode 9 of the Pancake and Lulu podcast, vlog, journal. Today's episode, first of all, I'm Amy, and I'm the indie dyer behind Pancake and Lulu yarn and fiber. Here is a podcast where I talk about my knitting and spinning and my fiber business and anything else that comes up about my life. Sometimes I talk about it's only been like a little over a week maybe since my last podcast, but before that I hadn't podcasted for over a year, since kind of the beginning of the pandemic. And I just want to thank everyone who came back to watch my last podcast, and welcome anyone new who's subscribed, because I know I got a few new subscribers, and just to thank you for leaving all the wonderful comments and welcoming me back. It was so much fun to read all the comments and to interact with you guys, and I'm just so happy to be back making some of these vlogs. Hopefully, I'm thinking maybe I can make one or make a couple every month. So I'm hoping to, that's kind of a goal. So let's see how that works out. This episode is actually probably going to be a little different because right now I'm away from my home and studio in New Jersey. That's where I'm based most of the time, but right now we are up here at our lake house, and here for a couple of weeks, and so I thought this would be more maybe like a vlog style, in a sense, because I don't know what I mean by that, but I guess I'm gonna insert some stuff about where I am and some footage maybe at the end of the episode, if you want to stay around and learn more about where I am. I mean, I'll tell you right now too, a little bit about it, just about the house where I am. So I think I mentioned last week actually that my husband's family has been coming to this lake up here in the Adirondacks for, my kids are like the 7th generation of his family that have come up here. And it sort of, just some background was that my husband's great grandfather, I think it is, bought some land on a lake here and built, I guess at first it was like just platforms with big white tents, heavy canvas tents that were like almost like yurts. But the platforms they built were permanent. They would come up with their family in the summertime and bring everything they needed, and made it, I think it was supposed to be like roughing it, but they were, a pretty wealthy family, and they came up and it was like they brought tons of stuff for the entire summer and did stuff like, outdoor sports and hunting, and was a big deal way back then. This is like 1880s and 90s, I believe. And so he was the first one to come up and buy the land. The land he bought is actually across the lake. And what happened was, over the next few generations, as the family got bigger and bigger, people would buy each other's share of the original camp. And then with that money that they, sell their share, or people would sell their share of the house, the original houses, because they were, it was too expensive and not big enough to accommodate the growing family. Then people would buy other area, either land or camps along the lake, and move in to other places. So where we are right now, the camp that we live at, and we call it camps here in the Adirondacks, but they are really houses and cabins, and often it's several cabins in one camp. And this camp was bought by my husband Chris's grandmother when she sold her portion of the original land across the lake. So my husband grew up here every summer, pretty much for most summers of his life, has come here, and more recently, and same with his mother and grandmother, although they were at the house across the lake. But almost every summer they had come. And I guess more recently, my husband's mother and her brothers were interested in selling the camp off, but my husband came up with a great way to keep it in the family. So we now own this camp. Sorry, there's odd noises here and there. People are here and I'm trying to do this and I don't want people to interrupt me, but I don't know if they will. I'll just stop if they do. Anyway, I'm wearing my Adirondack t-shirt today for the podcast. And just a little more I can tell you about the house where I am. This is the main cabin. It's big. It has like 4 bedrooms in the upstairs part, and a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, and then this giant porch, which is just my favorite place in the whole world. And the house has very old, so we don't live in one of the fancy camps here. There are some incredible camps some of them are the older ones and some are brand new, just giant summer houses. And if you have a lot of money, you can put into the camp, if it's an old one or build a new one. Some of them are just amazing. This is an old one. It's not that big, but it's so charming, and it's such a treasure for us to have, full of old antiques and like a mishmash of objects and things that have been here for 100 years, some of them, and some just brought over the years. So there's a lot of fun stuff here. It's almost like a funny museum, family museum in a way. It does have plumbing, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. It's very old plumbing. It has electricity. The wires run under the lake to the different camps here. That was put in, I don't know when that was put in. My husband it's always been here since he's come here. And we actually recently got internet, so that's really exciting. High-speed internet, so we can actually do other things here that we didn't used to be able to do. We still try not to really watch movies or shows here unless, maybe it's been raining endlessly forever. I mean, my kids do, but I don't. While I'm here, it's kind of a nice way to disconnect from that kind of media. I do really enjoy like posting on Instagram and being involved in that way. My husband can do his work up here, which is great because it's the internet was working pretty well. So, and also since he's remote right now, it's been really nice. He's come up as much as he can this summer to do that. We also have family that come and stay here as well. So it's really been nice to keep it in the family. We are very relaxed up here. It's like nothing works perfectly, but that's okay. We always just say it's camp. So if we have peanut butter and jelly for dinner, or if we have a leaking roof or the toilet won't flush, it's all okay, because we're kind of like, that's what it's like here, and we accept it. And there's just like the best feeling in knowing that it doesn't matter. And we're slowly trying to fix it up too. It's expensive to do any kind of stuff additional, like we're trying to fix things that need fixing mostly right now. We are putting in a new very rustic bathroom, which is exciting for the first floor because we don't have one on the first floor, which is nice. And yeah, so I just wanted a little background on where I am. I've been posting a lot on Instagram, and I'm just thinking, people might be wondering if you're watching, if you follow my Instagram account, and wanting to know a little more about it here. So I have been working pretty monogamously on my half and half triangle wrap by Pearl Soho, which is part of the Adirondacks knit-along. The goal is to finish by Rhinebeck, which I'm super excited to be going to, and I'm selling at Untangled the day before. So the Friday before It is the 15th of October. I'll be selling at Untangled. I'm not sure if there are tickets left. There may be some, I'm not sure. You can look on the Untangled website if you're interested. And if you're there, please come say hi to me because I'm gonna be super excited to be there. I'm also hoping to finish my half and half wrap, which I will show you. I've been working on it so much here, so I've got a lot done. It's almost a triangle, full triangle, one side of it. I decided, since my last podcast, I know I was on the fence a little bit because when I bought the materials for this linen quill by Pearl Soho, I had bought this color, which is called, I think it's called Bright Flamingo, and it's like a pinky orange. It's really pink. I think it's like right between a pink and an orange. It's really pretty. And then for the other half of it, the other triangle, it's a square with a triangle. I bought these two colors and I wasn't sure. I was thinking of doing like a color block, like starting with one and then finishing the triangle with the other, so that this actually has the three colors in it. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work with the way this is short rows, if they would be kind of, I couldn't conceive of it. Like I thought maybe the stripes would be like, it would be in an angle or something, but that's not the way it is actually. And I've seen a couple since then people who are doing stripes or color blocks. And in particular, I saw one of you guys out there suggested that I take a look at the Knitters League podcast, and that one of the people in the Knitters League, Sophia, I think it's Sophia, is doing her half and half wrap with stripes. So they're like 1-inch stripes of two oranges. I think there are two other oranges in this. Anyway, it looks so amazing, and it's just the stripes just go straight across. So I think it's like, I just didn't understand how it would look, but now I decided I'm going to do that with these for the second half. So I think I'm going to do stripes that are about a 1 to 2 inches, I'm not sure, stripes for the second half of the triangle. So I think that will look really good together, and I don't have to buy any other yarn because I have these two. I thought I had made a mistake when I started knitting this, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if that'll work, but I think it really will. So stay tuned and we'll see. I'm feeling like I'm getting really close. I've started my second ball, but I don't think this is gonna use 2 full balls. Oh, I'm doing the small version. So a lot of people have mentioned that the large version is really, really large. Sorry, I'm self-conscious because I think somebody's coming. Really, really large. And I know I'm not going to want a really, really large wrap, and anyway, I don't have a huge amount of time before Untangled and Rhinebeck, so I think this size will be good. We'll see. I did go up like half a size on the needles because I figured I don't think it really matters, and I thought that way it might be a little tiny bit bigger. I think that the stitching, that's where I joined the yarn actually. I think that the stitchings, the gauge looks good. Oh, I hope I didn't mess up. Oh, I did. I have to pause this. I have to fix this because since these are short rows, it can be tricky. I have to fix this. All right, I'll be right back. I'm back. I got all of them back on the needle. That was scary. Oh, it's really gotten windy here. I'm sitting outside and I hope that the wind isn't affecting the microphone. So I apologize in advance if there's something weird about the sound. Anyway, I got all the stitches back. I like pulled it off the needle. At one point early on, my kitty jumped up on my lap and some of the stitches came off and unraveled down, and I had so much trouble figuring out how to garter stitch back up without ripping back, and I did figure it out by looking at a video by Fitz Knits on Instagram. Laurel Gervais, I think is her last name. Yeah, it was part of the Knit Collage Creative Knitters Club that I joined, and there's a vault of helpful videos, and there was one in there that told me just what to do, and I was like so grateful, and I learned something, because it's trickier than just stockinette, like knitting back up a row that's dropped a stitch. So anyway, that is my, oh, and here's my cute bag again that I love for the Adirondack. It's getting really full. My Cottontail Farm. Anyway, it's getting pretty full with my growing knitting. Oh, I was gonna show you guys my spinning. I did bring up, oh, one more thing I was gonna say too is, like, I was working on, in the last video, on my Flower Power Cardi, and it's hand spun yarn that I hand spun, and I didn't bring it with me up here because it is huge and I ran out of hand spun, so I have to spin some more. I have a little bit of a feeling about that. I hope it looks good when it's all done, but since I've stopped and started a lot with, I'm using my hand spun, I have to keep spinning more as I go. I just really hope it blends well and looks good enough, since the skeins were spun at different times. I didn't bring it up, A, because it was way too big, and B, because I had to spin more, and I'm using a different spinning wheel up here, and I didn't want to like risk changing the yarn way too much by using a different spinning wheel, because that really does make a difference. I have two spinning wheels right now. One is this little electric one that is called a Roberta electric spinner, I think it's called. I've had this for years, like I want to say like 15 years. I used to spin on it a lot when I made my hand spun for sale in my Etsy shop, and it's a great little spinner. I think it's making a lot of squeaks, and oil isn't helping it now. So I decided to, and it's also got a very small, not small for that, it's not a small bobbin, it's just not a giant bobbin, which I like for a lot of the bulky yarns that I do. So I put in an order in the beginning of the summer for a Spinolution. I don't know if you can hear that gun go off. There's a sailboat race on the Upper Lake that just is starting right now. So they shoot off this gun to start the race. So I don't know if you could hear that though. I'm sitting facing the lake. I'm going to put in some pictures at the end so you can get a better idea of the surroundings here, because it's so beautiful. Anyway, what was I saying about the my spinning wheel? So I brought up my little Roberta wheel, and I think I'm going to leave that up here because I think it would be nice for spinning up here, and then I don't have to lug anything back and forth. Oh, because I ordered a Firefly, Spinolution Firefly electric wheel that I think it's being delivered today to my house in Princeton, finally, after waiting way longer than it was said, but that's okay. I do have I have a Blendrum double treadle kind of regular wheel, and I have that at home, so I was spinning on that all summer. And then my Roberta electric wheel I brought up here, and I think, like I said, I'm gonna leave it up here because it's really fun to spin up here. Anyway, so I'll show you my spinning that I've been doing. I actually have it right over here, so I'll be right back. Let me go get that. I'm back. The spinning that I haven't done a lot up here yet, but I actually started this the last time, my last trip a few weeks ago when I was up here. And I don't know if I think I showed off the bat that I carded on Instagram, but it is a bat that was the Paradise Fibers yarn, fiber of the month. I think it was July. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, well, I think it was July. I don't think I actually remember. And it was perfect for up here because it was called like Aurora Borealis fiber or something, and there was a wool kind of in one color, and it was green that I got. I think some people might have gotten other colors, and then a beautiful silk blend with sari silk, bits of other color in it as a second roving. And so when I was at home, I carded them together into one bat because I generally don't really like as much to spin, or I haven't been as into spinning roving lately. I'm more into bats. And I also I thought it'd be fun to blend them together. So blended them together, and I came up with this. I just finished spinning this today, this kind of crazy, super soft and squishy. This has not been blocked yet, so it's a little bit, I think it'll be a little bit straighter once it's blocked. But it's got lots of kind of crazy bubbles, and I went back on it. I kind of spun back on it itself in a couple places where it was super thin to create thicker parts. Let me see if I can find an example. That's not, this is kind of just a big bulby part. But if it ever seemed like it was too thin, the single that I spun, I kind of, just went back on itself a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm not showing the right spot. I don't know if that's focused, but anyway, it's really pretty. This would be really nice in a weaving. I think I might, I don't know, try knitting with it too. I'm gonna block that, and then I had actually, my bobbin isn't quite big enough to accommodate everything that I had spun, so I just kept the rest as a single. This is what it was like. It's not really, it's a core, what do you call it? What do you call it? A wrapped, core spun. I don't know if it's focusing. I'm really sorry, I'm not very good at this yet. But it is, oh, there's another race signal out there. Anyway, it is super soft, and this little mini skein would be perfect in kind of a patchwork project. I'm thinking I like using hand spun a lot in kind of modular or patchworky projects. And as part of the Knit Collage Creative Knitters Club, they're having a big, or we are as a club, or I guess are having a big West Knits knit along within the club. And a lot of people are doing the penguano sweater, which I have never done a penguano. I've always been really intrigued by it, but I also feel like I'm not sure it's something that I would wear a lot. And so I thought what I might do is kind of interpret, I haven't started it yet, but I thought I might interpret, it's a year-long knit along, so we have a lot of time. I might interpret the penguano pattern in which I have in one of his books. I think it's I don't know if it's in his first book or his second book. I don't think I have West Knits the third book, but I do have it in one of my books. So I have the pattern, and I thought I might interpret it as a blanket or a throw. And so these little pieces, these little hand spuns, and I want to do it all in my hand spun, will be perfect for that, just for a stripe, whatever. And same with these like really textured yarns. So I think that will be really fun. So that's what I'm going to use a lot of my hand spun for. I thought I would also show two other bats that I brought with me for spinning up here. This one I threw together really super fast because I didn't have a lot of bats that I wanted to bring up here. I do have several at home, but I wanted to use my new Firefly wheel when it comes. So I thought these will just be fun to use on my Roberta wheel, which is, it's just not working as well as it used to. So this is when I sort of threw together. Earlier in the summer, I did a beautiful white yarn. It was like mostly white, but with a lot of like little bits of color. And I kind of wanted to do something else like that. I really liked this. So I just took some white merino, and I'm gonna just show it like this, and blended in, it was a Wildethyme, and I'll put the link below to their shop. A little bit of a leftover bat that I had from them. So a lot of their bats are just so beautiful. They have all these little bits of sparkle and color. Like they're very, very beautiful. I have another one right here, I'll show you. This was just a little leftover part of a bat. It was too small really to spin or do anything with, so I blended it with all this white. So I'm excited to see how this comes out. Kind of to be almost like, I'm hoping it'll be kind of a neutral skein. And maybe this will end up being in my pink guano blanket. Anyway, that'll be fun to do. So I might do that one next. I also brought up this gorgeous Wildethyme. Here's Wildethyme, their label. This, I joined their bat club, and this was the second one that came. I think this was, let's see, well, this was the June one. I'm not sure if everybody's is the same. Their bats are so unique. I don't know if they do it that way or if they just, I don't know. This is the gorgeous bat that I got from Wildethyme from the Fiber Club. And it is just, it's so much fun to spin. I did the first months, and that's in my Flower Power sweater. So that's one side of it, and the other side is also really cool. A lot of the texture on bats is usually just on one side. You kind of, when you're making the bat, you tend to put like the most exciting texture on at the end. So one side will have kind of more of the sparkle and more of the fun, extra special stuff. Like you can see their neps and bits of cotton thread, and their bats also have, I mean, it's super exciting inside. In the middle too, there's like all kinds of little, you can get a peek. They're super fun to spin because you kind of never know what's gonna happen next. It's like variegated, and like when you're working with a highly variegated yarn and speckled yarn and some like a wild speckled yarn, and it comes up just here and there like little things that you're like, oh, it's so much fun. So I love spinning their yarn. I mean, they're spinning yarn with their bats. They're really fun. So they are on Etsy, and I will put their information down below. And so that's, I just brought those two other ones up. Probably won't have one, well, I kind of wanted to spend time on my half wrap because I just want to get that finished with plenty of time. I like the idea of just working on mainly one project up here. Oh, I do have my little firefly, which I showed in the last podcast, that I haven't finished yet. I haven't been working on that because I've just been really obsessed with this, but I do want to finish that. And then I also have another kit by Lally Lala that is a moth. I think I showed that the last time. So I have those up here too. So we'll see if I get to those. Okay, so I think that's about it for all of my fiber related stuff. This last week we celebrated my son Spencer, who he was on a podcast, maybe it was number 4, I want to say, back pre-pandemic. He was on one of my podcasts. He's my boy, and he turned 20 last week. He had his very first birthday up here, and many others. Anyway, it was super fun to see him because he has been at college the entire year since January. He's a freshman. He goes to Brown, and he got in, actually it was, if you go back and watch my episode, I think it was number 7, when they were in Peru. My family was in Peru. I was here. I was in the United States, and he was in Peru, and they were stuck there, and it was really dramatic. But while they were in Peru, it was right when the pandemic started, and Peru had closed its borders, so you couldn't leave. So they got stuck there for a little while. It ended up being, they were there maybe only a week or so, or 10 days longer than they would have liked to be. And it was all okay. It ended up being fine, but it was quite a dramatic journey back here. Anyway, during that time, the one good exciting thing that happened while they were stuck there is that he found out he got into Brown University. So that was super exciting. And for the freshmen last year, they decided at Brown not to start the freshmen until January. So, and then to make up for that, they have had the freshmen continue through as doing summer session. So they would be then caught up this fall. So we took him to school and in January, and I did get the extra fall last fall with him at home, which was wonderful. Because I would have normally, you expect your child to go away to college in the fall. But then we had to leave him up there, and basically couldn't really see him again because it was kind of a bubble environment there until, well, I didn't really get to see him until, I guess it was spring break in April. And I didn't really even see him for very long then because he ended up going actually to the Galapagos Islands for a trip with a friend who was going. And in any case, it's been a very long year without him, and it's been so nice to see him this week. And we have a couple more weeks together before he has to start the fall semester, and I think next year will be a lot more normal where I can go visit him more frequently, because Providence is about a 3.5 hour drive from Princeton, New Jersey. So it is in Providence, Rhode Island is where Brown is. So it will be better next year and in the future. It was just a long year without my Spencer. But anyway, we had a wonderful birthday, and I made him this awesome cake, and I'm gonna put a picture of it here because I was really proud of it. My daughter Chloe and I made him this woodland themed cake for being up here in the Adirondacks, and it really was such a great project because it really wasn't as hard as it looks. I guess because the terrain could be kind of lumpy and bumpy. It's like, I'm gonna put a picture, but it was just such a fun cake to make. We used like rubber animal, forest animals, and an actual piece of a pine tree for made a little tree out of that, and some pieces of wood broken to seem like wood on the ground. And then we made the flavors were, it was a chocolate cake with Nutella icing swirled with like a vanilla buttercream, and it was so delicious. And we also, so the moss was kind of the most exciting part because it's so cool looking. It looks very realistic. It was very fine coconut that's unsweetened that you can get, and matcha tea, and crushed graham crackers, like to create kind of a pebbly look. And the matcha tea gave like a little bit of the tea flavor too with the chocolate, and it was delicious. It was so good. Anyway, it was a really fun project. I always like to make a sort of a tradition with Spencer, especially, has always been to make him like a theme cake. So I do that really just once a year. I mean, occasionally Chloe's wanted that too, but sometimes she'll want something else that isn't, like a theme cake. Or I've done a lot of themes for her though over the years. Anyway, it was just super fun to have his birthday here after being away from him for so long. He really wants to come on the vlog actually at some point, so you may see him in the next one. Well, if we do it while he's still around. So I think that might be everything that I have. Just look at my little note. Yeah, I think what I'll do now is just insert some photos and pictures that I took around the camp, just because I thought it'd be fun for you guys to get a better view of what it's like here. Let me know in the comments if you thought this was interesting. If you've ever been to the Adirondacks here in New York State, or if you go somewhere for the summer, or like even what you like to do just to get away from normal life and get in tune with nature. And also just let me know if you like the episode so that maybe I can possibly do another one up here before the end of the summer. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in again, and I will see you next time. And if you'd like to stay tuned for the kind of montage of stuff that's going on here at our camp, it's coming right up. So take care. Bye.
you.